girl. Typical, I ain't cheerleading while the boys play ball. I ain't no typical girl. No. I wanna be right there in the middle of it all.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Music Cafe. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon/evening. I said every time, guys, time zones, I don't understand. And never will. Well, if you are new to the cafe, do me a fave, pick up the laptop or iPad or cell phone, whatever you're watching this on, head over to the kitchen, make yourself a cup of tea, which I have right here, cup of tea, and then go find somewhere cozy and sit down and get ready to have a listen and obviously join in on the conversation. There is a live chat that I will respond to questions and comments that you guys have. So pop them there in the Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are, pop them in there, and then we'll chat to you guys about that, blah, blah, blah. And if you are a regular, thank you so much for coming back. This is so much fun. I love Sundays. This is like the highlight of my week because I get to chat to people that are so cool and have so much to share. And this week is quite interesting because I wanted to focus in on the next generation. Because if we're looking at these scary times during COVID, careers are changing. Everyone is grieving something. Everyone has lost something, whether it be a job, whether it be an income, whether it be a family member, whether it be a dream, a goal. Everybody's lost something. So I want to focus in on the next generation, how my generation and the generation before me are passing on the torch. How are they supporting the next generation? So before I do that, I need to give a big shout out to fame.org because it's run by Christian Dene, who is an awesome guy. And fame.org is a nonprofit organization that gives their time, energy, everything pro bono to South African musicians that can't afford legal advice. And actually, hello, Fame. Hello, how are you? But I'm now going to bring up our guest. I'm so excited for this. Really, really am. So I'm going to first bring up someone that I've known for so many years, and it's scary. He lives here in South Africa, but I live in Johannesburg. He lives in Cape Town, which is not okay because Cape Town is too beautiful for words. Hello, Dean Botha. Hello.
Hello, Alexandra. Hello. How are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you. Okie dokie. And next we've got a group. We've got a bit of a family actually. And they run a drama school, a musical theater school called Singing on Stage. Hello, guys. Hi, Heidi, Olivia, and Richard. Hello. Thank you so much to all of you for joining me this evening. This afternoon. Time zones. I don't get it. And I know it's a day off and all, but I really do appreciate you guys coming on and just. We're going to be talking about the next generation, which obviously I'm really passionate about. And obviously you guys all are as well. So I think we should start off by going around the room, and I'm going to start with Dean. Do you mind giving everyone, our viewers, just a hashtag Tinder bio version of who you are?
A Tinder bio version. Wow.
Yes.
So nasty.
Do you know what Tinder is?
Anyway. Yes, I do.
You light a fire with it.
Yeah. Hi guys, my name's Dean Botha. I know it's spelled Dene or Dene, but it's pronounced Dean. Thanks, Mom. I run a company called Pride Factor. We inspire, guide, and mentor young people across the globe to live their ultimate lives in any way, shape, or form, and we will support them in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, and I've been very fortunate to be part of some of these events that you put on. I mean, I think the last one we did mid last year, they were 3,000 or 5,000 kids. It was all right. Was it nuts?
Yeah, there were about 4,500 kids at your event of Inspired Youth,
wow.
But over the 5 days, we had a record of 94,000.
Wow, just absolutely incredible. And Wow. And I mean, I remember that the passion of those kids, and I mean, I haven't been in school for a minute, but to like be around kids that are that excited about life is like rare. And they were so amped at everything that was happening. You had incredible guests. You had incredible guests lined up for the entire week. So it's really sad that there isn't one, that's happened in the last couple of months, because this is the time of the year, isn't it?
Congregations of anything over 100 are making that 90,000 person event a little bit tricky, but at the same time, we're holding thumbs for 2021.
2021, here we come. Woohoo!
It's good.
Well, I mean, I love your energy, Dean. I love you as a person, and your passion about the next generation and making leaders out of these kids and entrepreneurs. And inventors and all the above. It's just incredible to see these kids just blossom. So I'm really excited to dive into a couple of things. But first, next I'm gonna hop to Heidi. So Heidi, will you? I know we're gonna go down the. It's all backward, isn't it? I'm gonna go down the line. Can you each also give your Tinder bio version of who you guys are?
Absolutely. So I am from the States, of course, in Pennsylvania, and I was raised by a dance teacher. So I was really had a life in the arts and went on to be a performer in musical theater. And then after some time in that profession, decided to come back to teaching and start a family. So it was really wonderful to combine all of my loves and move back to a beautiful environment of a college town, which supports this kind of a training studio. And so we're in our 17th year of encouraging children to explore the art of musical theater for their own enrichment. Very special because we're producing people rather than performers. And we encourage them to learn all the life lessons that come from training in the arts. We have 3 children and they're all in the arts. By choice. Right, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. We'd be happy if they were plumbers, but they're all in the arts. And so we brought Olivia here today to share some of her insight in this whole environment that's been created here.
That's awesome. And I love that you are so involved in your kids' lives. I mean, Dean, I know you would also say that a mentor is very important in any industry, and especially having a mom. And I also believe, Heidi, that your mom was a dance teacher. So, I mean, it's literally having that mentor in that space is so important. So I also can't wait to dive into, you see the little things happening here, these little things that I can't wait to get into. So Olivia, please, Tinder bio version of who you are.
So yes, I grew up in a theater environment, which was amazing, and I've made all my best friends through this program. And my siblings and I were homeschooled, so we never went through the public school system, which was really great for us. We got to explore and learn in our own ways, and we weren't forced to, read, write, and do math. We had just a passion for doing that. So that was really great. And I've been involved in theater since I could walk and talk. So I've done a number of shows, and I'm also a dancer. I've just recently started doing serious classical ballet the last 2 years. And that's been another great passion of mine, as well as, of course, performing in musical theater. So and I also help teach with my mom with the little kids. And that's another great thing that I love to do. I usually, teach dance for them, and I love working with young children. So that's another great thing.
That is so cool. And I love that I was also, my sister and I were also both homeschooled. My parents also took us out of the mainstream for that exact reason, so that we could focus in on our passion. And it's quite a special thing it's a privilege to be able to do that. I know it is a privilege because many families, 2 working parents, they can't be at home with their kids homeschooling and all. So it's a privilege, and but it's great to be able to have that opportunity. So it's actually, I'm interested to chat to you also about how, because this is clearly your passion, you clearly love doing this, and you're teaching, which is a whole nother skill.
Very different,
all together by itself. So I mean, you're sort of learning a bit of everything right now. So I'm interested to chat to you about where you're at, and also going forward, you're literally the next generation. You are part of this movement going into this new world. That's kind of that's kind of freaky. It's kind of scary. So cool to chat to you about that as well. Well, last but not least, Richard. Just moving down the line. Richard, I don't know if you know what Tinder is.
Hey, come on. I'm up on it.
He's the most savvy of the family.
That's
right
true.
there.
Okay, well, you know what? Do you mind giving us your hashtag Tinder bio version of who you are?
I'm the accompanist. No, I do play. But I grew up in the theater. My mom was in community theater. So she actually forced me to audition for a children's play when I was 8 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Did not want to go. I got a part, fell in love with it, and then she couldn't stop me. She was like, "Are you sure you want to do another show?" And so the only way I saw professionally to get into it was acting. So I went to acting school out of high school. Then because I have, the ability to play the piano and sing, I was encouraged to think about music direction, being a musical director for musicals. So then I went to music school at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, and majored in choral conducting. Did that for a long time, but really, I have this T-shirt. What I really want to do is direct. Now, what I was seeing was I was looking at the bigger picture all the time, and I didn't realize that's how a director thinks.
Right. Yeah.
So eventually, I realized, well, really, what I'm geared for is directing. So then I went back. I was the oldest living graduate student at age 44. Went back to get my MFA in directing.
Wow.
And studied. My mentor was Susan Schulman, Broadway director, directed 5 Broadway shows, many, many other things.
Amazing.
Massive.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
There, started my own theater company in addition to our theater training school. So we have a professional theater company and this theater training school.
That's incredible. I mean, I think to find that passion and pursue it and completely, to be getting everything you've been doing at I don't want to say at your age, because that's a weird thing to say, but to have, Dean's laughing at me now, but to have that, like, you just drive, this is what you want to do. I think it's so cool that you have that. It's really, really cool that you have that. It really is. But it's incredible. I love that you guys are working as a family. It's a family-run business, and it's passing down from both sides, this into the next gen, which is awesome. But I'm going to start now. So, Dean, Pride
I love all of
Factor.
this. Sorry, Alexandra, I've just got to jump in on this. I love the whole singing on stage thing. I really do. I feel like there's a piece of me in that. Richard, I've got to speak to it and precise. My mother threw me on stage when I was 6 years old, whether I liked it or not. She was like, "You're going to act, young man." And no matter what you like. And I landed a part as Douglas in Shadowlands, Life Story of C.S. Lewis. I then played Moth in Love's Labour's Lost. And at 13 years old, I started doing ballet, which I still find quite entertaining. But I'm a surfer. I've surfed my entire life. And when I was put into ballet school, you can imagine, as a young man, I played rugby, all these kind of things. My friends ripped me off to the next level until about a year later, I think I won every surfing contest I surfed in. So after 2 years of ballet, from 11 to 14, I think I did ballet. And when I quit doing ballet, about 4 of my competitors in the surfing bull had all taken it up. How about that? So I just find that very interesting. The whole surfing, ballet, music, drama, theater, on stage, off stage. There's a lot of similarities there. That's great.
Oh, that is so cool. I did not expect that, Dean. Sorry,
I know, nor did I. I didn't think it would be the first thing I'd say anyway.
You were in Shadowlands, but my first show was The Frog Footman in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant.
But,
absolutely incredible. I love this. This is so cool. I love rooms like this. I love cafes like this. This is cool. This is fun for me. I love this. I'll sit back. Y'all just talk. Y'all just talk about your ballet experiences. I'll just sit back and listen.
And we're such advocates for men and boys in the arts. And it's interesting. We had to take a little break from running our school. And so one of our students who was just voraciously involved ended up, and he would have been maybe 9 or 10 at the time. And so he dove into ballet. and is the studio that she now studies. And so he went on to be accepted into the core of American Ballet Theater in New York City, and then
Wow.
soloist, and just retired in his late 20s. So it's like, you know, we can't get enough about the power of men setting an example in the arts. So well done, you.
Loved it. I loved it. I really did. I absolutely loved it, and I know what it did for me. I think just in a physical form, and just in that like confidence building form, you're getting ripped apart constantly. But it really like I got to prove myself in the surfing world. I was like, guys, I can jump higher. I am faster. I am more agile. I'm stronger. Try and keep up with me. And all of them are like, so ballet, hey? Okay, sign me up. Brilliant.
Oh my gosh. No, but I think, but it's very true, because there is this idea of that ballet is for girls and guys can't really do it. And I think it's even in theater, in the theater world, if you're a straight guy to do theater, it's people find that weird. And I think it's really strange, because theater is not a gender based career. It's not. And think it's something we should all learn. And I think anyone that's watching and listening, it's men do it and women do it. It's a career, it's an art form, it's a discipline. And I mean, to do ballet, I did ballet when I was growing up. I did dance as well, and just the discipline you learn, to know the rules and having respect for your fellow ballet dancers and your teacher, you know, misses this or teacher that. There is so much etiquette that goes into dance. So I think that's incredible. I love that you did it, Dean. And I think also when I look at your stage presence as well, Dean, when you speak on stage at Inspired Youth events and all that, I mean, clearly you have a little bit of confidence when it comes to the stage, just a little bit. So can I ask, when did you start Pride Factor and Inspired Youth, and when did it become an event where you would get kids involved and speakers and all the above?
Alexandra, we started Pride Factor 6 years ago. It is pretty much a culmination of my life's experience, to be completely honest. It is everything I've done, plus a little bit more, plus a little bit of friends, and a little bit of influence, and some family, and a little bit of sprinkles on top, and a little bit of courage in between. But yeah, we started off by running events to try and inspire and guide and mentor young people in South Africa to look beyond the problems that we have down here, trying to tap away at crime, at poverty, at unemployment, but basically trying to break down the mindset, getting to the roots of the problem, the foundation, as opposed to the trunk or the branches or the leaves. As for my tree metaphor, I'll get to that later.
Okay.
So it's late on a Sunday night, so please forgive me. I've been surfing all day. I'm absolutely exhausted. So yes, it's been 6 years and it's been absolutely amazing. It is something that is growing from day to day, which is unreal. And we've obviously, I think, due to the scenario that we're in at the moment, we're like all the victims of the circumstance that we find ourselves in with COVID-19. We've had the pleasure of kind of taking it all online, and the buy-in that we've had. I mean, you've been to our events. I mean, you've been the headline actor at what, 3-4 of our events, and it's 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 young people in a room screaming until your ears are ringing for the next couple of months.
It's incredible.
And, it's unreal. The South African flag in the background and all this. Oh, it's just, I mean, it's just beautiful. It really is beautiful. And now to take that and orchestrate it all digitally has been quite a challenge, because you'll know in South Africa, out of everyone, A, no one can afford data, B, no one really has devices, and C, we don't even have electricity from time to time.
Exactly.
So we have our troubles. We have our problems here and there. But those that want it are there, and they make it happen, you know, and they charge up their devices, and they go and nick some Wi-Fi from the library or from McDonald's or from their university, and they're there every single week. And we're running these digital workshops now, and I couldn't be happier. So the evolution of the whole thing has been amazing. And And we're just happy and fortunate to have the partners that we've got and to be offered platforms like this. And look at you. Sorry, but look at you. You've been on my stages 3 or 4 times, and here you are hosting me on yours. I mean, what a privilege. Jeepers. I'm still trying to take this all in. Like, this is just unreal. Good for you.
Thank you. Well, you know what? I think, and I've been to and I've been part of some of your events, and like you said, just you with the South African flag. And now I spend a lot of time in Nashville, Tennessee. I spend a lot of time there. I spend a couple of months out of, I'll be back and forth 2 or 3 times a year. And the pride that people have in their country is unreal. And the respect that people have for their, for anyone that is a service provider in their country the respect is unreal. And in South Africa, it's just weird terrain. It's just very different because it's just 2 completely different worlds. But standing there with 3,000 or 5,000 kids with the South African flag singing the national anthem, I got chills. I've got like goosebumps now thinking about it.
You can't say I've got chills. No one's gonna know what you're talking about. That's goosebumps for anyone outside of South Africa. I've got the chills. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
You got it. There we go.
Goosebumps. So, but like honestly, standing there and just hearing these kids, this warmth, this wave of energy and passion, and in this new next generation is just incredible, because it's so rare to see people with such passion that want to make their country a better place, that want to provide a beautiful home for their mother that's given them everything, that want to put across their idea, that want to be inspirations, that want to be those people, that want to someone's actually just commented goosies. There we go. Chills and goosies. Just honestly, exactly. That sort of thing is just incredible, Dean. And I love that you've done it. And can we just go into this for a minute? Because I'm sure, Heidi, you'll be able to chat a bit about this when it comes to the US youth. But Dean, when it comes to the South African youth, so compared to how it was 10 years ago and how it is now, where do you think kids are at when it comes to moving forward in their life and finding that inspiration, finding their dream job and being entrepreneurs and being where are kids' mindsets at right now?
It's a tricky one, and I'd love to just answer that with, it's all positive and wonderful, but it's been tricky, Alexandra.
Yeah.
It really, really, really has. I think COVID has hit us for a 6, and the young people here that we're running these workshops with at the moment, we always give them a pre-training questionnaire, and they arrive there usually between despondent, hopeful, and wanting. Okay. And they're kind of leaving there, fortunate enough to say, determined, excited. So we're trying to take them up 2 or 3 tiers. But I think the general consensus in South Africa is, we've I'm not going to get political. We've had a lot of promises made to us, and things haven't really fallen through, as I'm sure many people around the world have. But seeing that we've run these events, let me take it from my standpoint. We've run these events in Kenya. We've now launched in the UK last year. We're now talking to Vietnam. We're talking to India, and we're actually launching in the US in the next couple of months, actually, with our Pride Factor workshops. But the difference, I think, down in South Africa, and it's a strange way of putting it together, but a friend of mine kind of coined it in saying that the saying goes that you are meant to teach a man to fish, not give a man a fish.
Yeah.
In South Africa, it starts slightly different. The young people here have not seen a fish, let alone tasted a fish. So when you're trying to teach them to catch fish, you actually need to give a man a fish first. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Sorry, long way around, but in South Africa, it works that you actually have to give them a fish so that they try it out, so that they see the reason that they should go on and learn to fish and go and do it for themselves. It's like actually try the goal out, see that it's worth it, and then go on and do it. And I think that's the difference in South Africa here is dangle that carrot, show that low-bearing fruit, let them try it out. And then once that inspiration's in, they're going, I want more. You cannot stop them. You cannot stop them. But you can't just sit there going, hey, get a job, learn to make money. They're like, why? Once they've actually got a reason for doing it, then they're like, oh, God, don't even try and stop me. They're like a locomotive. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic down here. But at the same time, we are all optimistic. We are all very positive, and we're all very, very, very excited about the future.
That's awesome. I think we've actually got a question here. Question for Dean, what kind of things do you inspire? And I think that pretty much sums it up. Is there anything else for this particular question that Daniel's asked to just beef out what you've just said, or do you think you've pretty much said it all now?
What kind of things do you inspire the kids to do? Thank you for the question, Daniel. Yeah, we do inspiration and guidance in different ways. We don't necessarily look at extra science, extra maths, and extra geography. We look at things like being remarkable, public speaking, entrepreneurship, work readiness, financial literacy, those kind of things, but also dealing with failure. You know, the average adult nowadays will change their career 4 times, 5 times in their life. That means you are.
Oops, has he frozen? Oh no! Oh no! He's frozen.
You're going to give up completely different. You know, so how do you deal with failure? Dealing with EQ, dealing with all kinds of things like that. So it's kind of like a modern age finishing school.
Yeah. I think that's very true. I mean, because if I look at this current generation where it's there, you don't have confidence in yourself. You don't have confidence in what you can do. And I like, did you say remarkable? Was that the word that you used? Remarkable?
Being remarkable.
I love that. I think that is so, because it doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. That does not mean you have to be perfect. It means you have to be remarkable. And that's incredible.
It actually means the opposite, Alexandra. Being remarkable means being worthy of remark. So it might be negative, it might be positive, but at least you're standing out in some way, shape, or form. So it's actually having an opinion. That's what being remarkable is. Voicing your opinion.
Wow, that is like my entire life just changed. Like, I'm gonna have you on every week, dude. My life just changed. I think it's amazing, and it's that striving for excellence, and it's not about it's striving for excellence, being remarkable, and doing your best.
Your own excellence. If you want to be a chef, you want to be a plumber, you want to be a dancer, you want to be a singer, you want to be a creative, you want to, whatever it is that you want to do. You don't have to be a doctor, accountant, or lawyer. You want to be a coder, you want to be a graphic designer, just whatever you do. Number 1, find your passion. Number 2, become very good at it. Number 3, turn it into a lifestyle and career, and you are golden.
Oh, wow. That is like, okay, cool. Yeah. Inspiration talk right there. I'm ready for this next week. I'm ready. Here we come. 2021. Oh, no. Incredible. I love what you guys do. Actually, fame.org has just commented to definitely see some opportunities for collaboration with your, so I'll do the linkies. I'll do the links of the linking nature, linking links. So that pretty much, I think it's a good summary of where South Africa is at the moment when it comes to the youth and the mindset and what you're trying to break through and what you're achieving. From what I'm hearing, and hearing that kids are coming in on one level and leaving on another level just proves that there's clearly movement, which is amazing, because that just fills me with hope for my home. It's my home, so that's incredible. Thank you, Goosies. So thank you so much, Dean. I really do. I love what you're doing for the youth of South Africa. But I wanted to ask Heidi, just hearing the contrast, because I've spent a bit of time in the States, but I'm mainly with people my age, of course. But when it comes to the youth of the US, is it complete? Do you find it completely different, or do you think kids are a little bit lost in the chaos of there being so many avenues, and kids are struggling to find goals and their definite dream? Or do you think they're pretty much set in their ways? They know, like, they come out, they know what they want. What have you found?
Well, we live in a college town, which is such an interesting atmosphere, because many children have extraordinary advantages with parents that spend their entire lives developing their intellect and encouraging their children to do the same. So we
Yeah.
work with a very specific population, but of course, so I can't really speak to the entire United States,
Right.
but I have Olivia speak to that. But for us, it's really been about what you were saying, arming them, equipping them with a sense of who they are as an individual. And of course, with homeschooling and theater, we find that really important that they have time to listen to themselves.
Yeah.
And really tune in to what it is that makes their heart beat. And I think that that's valid, and that we would do whatever is in our power to support their confidence in that area. And so that's a huge thing. Now, of course, all of our endeavors have gone online. And as far as bringing hope, anyone who has been involved in a community activity like a sports team or a theatrical endeavor, finding this really challenging, because as you go through your childhood, these social environments and these environments of achievement are incredibly important to their sense of worth and growth. So we are so fortunate because we had the opportunity to do the first Zoom production of Into the Woods. So if anyone out there has heard of this particular piece of theater, it's written by what we consider a national treasure, Stephen Sondheim.
Wow.
Very seriously, we consider him to be the Shakespeare of today in musical theater. He's a brilliant, brilliant writer and man who has devoted his life to musical theater and written many profound pieces of storytelling that really challenge your mind. And so we're given permission because everything just shut down. Many schools, many community groups, all the Broadway theaters, regional theaters were completely shut down. But because we're a small private business, we could forge ahead and say, oh my gosh, this is so frightening. But how are we going to honor all the rehearsing and the work they've done? Olivia played Cinderella in the production and directed it. So we worked with the licensing holders and actually the author, James Lapine, who wrote the book and worked with Mr.
Wow.
Came on a Zoom with our class and spent an hour with these children from his, I think it was a vacation home in Connecticut. So he spent an hour talking to the children about his experience as a writer, very, very successful writer and director, and then encouraged us to move forward. And so they did the first live Zoom production of Into the Woods. And as a result, then we've been able to continue to tap into Zoom technology, and we're developing workshops so that we want to enable community groups, schools, professional theaters, regional theaters around the world to keep going.
Yeah.
This idea that has come to a screeching halt is so discouraging to young people who look to theater for their inspiration. And so we feel so fortunate. We're this tiny little company, but we've been given this, we're sort of sitting at a vortex. We've been given this opportunity to develop techniques and pilot things right here in our town to help everyone move forward. And so Rich, I can have him speak to that a little bit more, but I want to get back to your question. Maybe Olivia could answer it about how youth in the United States are handling their goals, their life choices, especially with COVID. So
Really, that's a huge thing. I think COVID has definitely put, some stops on things, but I also think that it has let people take the time and energy to figure out who they are and what they want to do. I definitely feel that. I know that a lot of my friends and I have been going through that because you have the time to sit and, think about it in that way. You don't have to worry about going to school or whatever your extracurriculars are because you're at home quarantined. So I think that, in ways, of course, this has put a huge wrench in all of our lives, but also I think it has opened doors to let you figure out who you are and what you want to do. That's just me personally. Again, I can't speak for everyone, but that's what I have found and some of my closest friends have found. So,
I think it's very true. And I love that you say, and something I also believe that COVID is definitely, the world is going through turmoil right now. We are all struggling. We're all having to deal with something. But if we can try and find a little bit of positivity in this space where it does give some of us just a minute to just pause and sort of realign, reassess, all the above, just to sort of figure out. Dean, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, I'm running digital workshops at the moment, and the other day we ran one called the new normal. Excuse me. Welcome to the new normal.
Yeah.
And we had a group of about 20 young people in there, and it's very much an interactive session. So we did a lot of back and forth. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And the general consensus amongst my 20 students, but still, was that the new normal is a verb. It's not yet a noun.
Huh.
So it's not yet anything. It's still becoming something. So if it's still becoming something, then we can still dictate and predict what it shall become. So it is very much about our attitude and our mindset and our reliance at the moment as to what it is that we want to make this into. Yes, Zoom this, digital that, stay away from this one, do that one, blah, 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 and the new normal society and social distancing and all these things are becoming normal. But it is still a verb. It's still like a work in progress. So what it ultimately becomes, we do decide. So
Yeah.
what do you want it to be? Where do you want it to be? I know we've got a lot of students on our side that are sitting here kind of going, well, we're going to wait for it to blow over. It's like, it ain't going to blow over. If you're not improving on yourself right now, you're wasting time. So get on with it.
Wow.
I'll jump in for just a brief.
Yes, Richard, please.
I teach at Penn State, or the local university here, and I taught a directing class, and everything shut down. We came back. We had to refigure how to do that class. We were doing that class online, and toward the end of the semester, I decided to start talking to them about, well, these are all theater creators in this class. Most of them had to take the class. They did not want to take the class because they are in tech or design or stage managers.
Sure.
They should take a directing class, right? Because they need to know how to collaborate with the director. But I decided the last couple of weeks to talk about the new normal. Where are we headed with this? And 2-1, every single person in the class was, this is just temporary. It's going to be over probably by the summer. And then we're going to get back to normal and everything will be fine by the fall.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, your face.
And these are, I would say, 19 to 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
57 years old going, but I'm doing this production of Into the Woods online, and it's an amazing, it's hard as hell. It's mind-bogglingly difficult because it's never been done before. But they were not interested. They were actually mad at me for bringing it up because they were on track to finish their schooling and go out into the world as they knew it before March.
Yeah.
So they were taking COVID as a temporary interruption. And I think we all now know it's not a temporary interruption. And even if it's over, meaning it's low infection rate and we have a vaccine that works, things have changed and things are changing. And we are exactly defining what those changes are going to be. And that's coupled with the Black Lives Matter movement that's happening and realizations, people coming to realizations about how they've operated for so long. We're all guilty. So it has to change. And sometimes something comes along that forces us to rethink the whole system. And the only thing we talk about in comparison is 9/11 here in the United States. But that was a blip, a mere blip compared to this.
Wow.
This is national change.
Yeah. From the roots up, essentially. And I think it's tricky because we're all pretty much in similar industries right now here. And I know that as a singer-songwriter, yesterday was my very first gig live in front of people, a real live audience, in 6 months. I have not performed for an audience in 6 months. It was awesome being back. It was awesome to hear an applause and not just like see the double taps, little hearts, but it was amazing. And it was at a restaurant that were, COVID aware and all the above. But it was just really interesting because I have, over the last 6 months, since March, I've had to almost redefine my career. As a singer-songwriter, I spend my life writing music and performing my music that I've either written for myself or for other people. And I spend my time in Nashville writing and co-writing with people to continue making a living, to do what I do, right? And suddenly I have been writing at least 3 or 4 times a week with someone over Zoom from overseas, in the States or in the UK, Canada, wherever. And it suddenly made the world closer, which is just, we always thought the world was smaller since being able to travel, via airplane to different countries. But it's really made the world a smaller place. Do you think via Zoom? It's incredible how industries are just going to change like that. I think it's kind of fun and interesting to navigate this new world, I think it's kind of interesting.
And I love even just this gathering today, of course, hearing about your workshops. It's always been, people laugh at me because I can't have enough children in the room. Like I would be happy with hundreds and thousands of children and just engaging with them, cheering with them. That idea that you're already doing that here in South Africa. It's so special to hear about what you're doing. And to just, this gathering today is such a perfect example of what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think there's different options all over the different place. I mean, we're finding unreal that we started running events in South Africa. Now we're getting contracted to do these things in India, Vietnam, as I say, US coming up soon. We launched in London last year. And there's just this like demand for it. And again, I mean, there are those that aren't interested. There are those young people that are like, listen, I'm fine by myself. I'll do my own thing. No one can help me. No one can tell me what to do. I mean, you did homeschool. I did homeschool. It's the same kind of thing. You can't tell me what to do. I'm working a job. I'm 16 years old. I saved up enough money when I was 17 years old to buy a one-way ticket to London. Like, I'm out of here. I'm smarter than you. I know more. Yeah, it really could have gone a different way, I think, if I had continued with my education. I think that's what it is. It's like putting it to these young people. I mean, I'm a university lecturer, but I'm also a high school dropout. That's the way the world is at the moment. And, take it for what it is. I don't have the professor's certificate, but I've got enough hard knocks in life to kind of, I might not show you exactly what you should do, but I can certainly tell you a couple of things that you shouldn't do. And I think that's where lessons come from. It's like learn the hard way around or learn from others that have been through the hard way around. So I think this is what again, Rich and I are kind of going on about is this new normal. It's still busy being defined. And Alexandra, as you're saying, the world's a smaller place. I had a seminar the other day and my guest speaker was in Abu Dhabi. He jumped onto Zoom for 10 minutes, jumped into the phone call, Entrepreneur of the Year 2017 South Africa, currently in Abu Dhabi, and off he went. It was like, what?
Incredible.
If you were to come to a normal event, I'd need to make sure that you're in the same city, the same town. You had Uber to get there, you had accommodation, I had to fly you in, pay your rate, Now you just dropped into a phone call for 10 minutes and left. Like, brilliant. I love this. So there are the ups and the downs, obviously, but it is bringing the world closer together, and the world of communication is second to none. And I think that's something that certainly needs to be kind of elaborated on is, communication is just right up there. And I think it's changing the world. Yeah, it's great.
Sure.
One of the things that's changing is the importance of titles and certificates and degrees. College education in general, it may not exist in another 12 months, as we've known. The importance of it and the importance that we put on it is rapidly dwindling away. There are universities closing here. There are universities firing tenured professors. The thing that you knew was safe is no longer safe. The titles mean nothing now. It's that, and in some ways, that's good.
I think there's very much a balance here. And Alexandra, I don't mean to take over your podcast by any means, but I do think there's a complete balance here. Like I really, really, really do. I've been watching a lot of what's happening in the States at the moment with the higher education training and the TVET colleges, and some of the things that they're saying are rather scary. And it's going to obviously cause the ripple effect through the rest of the world, because USA leads the country, the world, let's be honest. And it's interesting to see how it's going to go, but I'm not too sure exactly what it's going to do for the next generation. That's why I keep saying this new normal, it's a verb. It's still busy being written as to what it is. And some things are going to fall away and other implications are going to be set in place. But we still do need to kind of mold this thing out in a nice, productive way. So what does it do for the next generation? I'm not too sure. But as long as they know that there are people out there willing to help and willing to assist and willing to listen, not just talk, take the cotton wool out of your ears and put it in your mouth sometimes and listen to what these young people have to say. I think we've got a prosperous future coming. I really do. I will be extremely optimistic.
And just so you know, Dean, people are loving this conversation, and so am I. I love this. Because Zach, we've got Mark, some regulars that are watching. So this is just awesome. I love this. I actually wanted to ask about this next generation, and Olivia, how, when it comes to going forward. So Dean, you were did you say college dropout, a university dropout?
High school
dropout. I graduated high school, but then I didn't go to university. I earned my first paycheck doing this when I was 12 years old. So I was already in the industry. Yeah. But you would know, Dean, that people don't take you seriously. No. They don't take you seriously. Even if you were to have the certificate, but just being young. But if you don't have the certificate, I didn't go to university, don't have no certificate, nothing. But nobody takes you seriously. And I also find being a young person in the industry, nobody takes you seriously, because you could have been doing this since you were 2 years old, but because you haven't paid your dues according to their standards, you're actually not quite good enough just yet. You still gotta, have the dressing room around the back, and you can't be here. You can't actually get the lead role because you're not quite there yet. So when it comes to navigating this world as the next generation, as a teenager, as a youngster in this space, and especially now with COVID, and like Richard was saying, everything that you thought was safe is not quite safe anymore. You have to find your own safe. Where are you at with that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah.
What a question.
Definitely. It's something, I think, especially here, we are so told to, you go through the school system, you go to college, you get a job, you work that job until you retire, and then you die. Like, that's like the thing that you do. Yeah. So I think it's definitely trying to figure out, I feel like my generation, Gen Z, is very against that in the way that we are tired of being told that this is the only way that you can live life, and this is the only way that you can be successful, and this is the only way that you can get a job, and all of these things. And I think social media does have a huge part in that, of showing like, this is what we're going to do, and we're not going to follow these like certain steps to get where we want to go. And I, definitely this quarantine has made me realize that I don't really think I need to go to college to do what I want to do, because pursuing musical theater, you don't need a degree to, perform. And so I figured that out for myself, that I don't think college is right for me. I've been so lucky to get amazing training here. So I feel like, I'm almost ready to do this. Sure. So that's just something that I've realized. And I think that, a lot of people are also realizing that college isn't everything. Of course, it's a great step for some people to get better training, or, have that college experience and mature, or whatever you need to do, but not everyone needs to do that. So that's a huge thing that I've been learning. And my brother only went to college for a few years, and my older sister didn't go to college either. So I've had two great role models who have showed me, you don't need to go to college to be successful and do what you want to do and do what you love. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think, my generation is really strong, and they've kind of showed that, just because we're young, that doesn't mean we don't know things. So I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think it's true. And we sort of, I think in this new world, maybe this younger generation has it, but we all have to learn how to be a bit more pliable during this time. So just go with the flow. And obviously we're not promoting that if you're going to be a doctor, please go study, please. But just in general.
Learn where to put that injection. Please.
Yeah.
I've got to jump in on that one, if you don't mind, Alexandra. I did the same kind of thing, I must be honest. So I went to public school in South Africa until standard 8, so what's that, grade 10. And then I started doing homeschool. And I really enjoyed it, but I don't come from a very, very rich family. I was crayfishing and fishing and waitering and barmaning and anything I could do to make some money. That's what my modus operandi was make money, go to England, go and make some real money,
Yes.
But the difference between schooling and going to school, putting on the uniform, playing team sports, meeting in the assembly every day, seeing your friends at break, This is pre-Facebook, okay? This is pre-social media, which a lot of you people won't understand.
Back in my day.
That if you weren't at school, you weren't getting invitations to parties, you weren't seeing your friends on weekends or anything.
Yeah.
So I found that my social distancing came in as soon as I started doing homeschool. Because I was studying at night. I would study from 8 until 12 at night. I'd do 4 days a week, and I'd get my grades up and all of that. But during the day, I was either surfing, I was either fishing or crayfishing or working or something like that. But I wouldn't see my friends. So on the weekend, I'd be like, where are all my friends? Oh, no, they're all over at Paul's birthday party. I was like, well, I don't know about it. It's because I wasn't at school. So I think that's the one side, which is kind of counteracted with the social media side. But the communication skills that came out of that schooling, colleging kind of environment that I think I managed to replace at work, at the restaurant, because that was my job, was to talk to people. I think that's what goes out amiss to everyone and again, you do what you need to do, you do whatever your heart tells you that you need to do. But I do feel like if I'm getting married on Friday, okay, there we go, just putting it out there. I'm getting married on Friday.
Is it happening? Because I know you had to postpone your wedding.
We postponed it twice. It's now scheduled for November. We're just getting it done on Friday. That's it.
Congrats!
I'm very excited about this. Anyway, thank you. The reason I'm saying that is I'm looking to have a family at one day, a family one stage. And I think this debate will kind of come about, like, do your kids go to college? Do they go to college? Blah, blah, blah. There are pros and cons in that. There is this balance that ultimately needs to be met. And I think from my side of things, I will show you what not to do as opposed to what to do. I think that's what I missed out on the college side was that, speaking to people and having a couple of years of really conversing with people and learning that art of communication, art of negotiation, that debating, that this and that really ultimately does place you in a position in life that, Richard, I'm sure I can see you kind of nodding in the background. You learn how to communicate with people, and it doesn't matter what skill you've got, you are the art of communication, which is kind of paramount in any dealing you may need to have in your entire life.
Yeah.
So it's this 6 of one, half of a dozen of the other that I'm feeling like you guys, and sorry to say, but you do have some tough decisions to make, but you're not alone in making them.
Yeah. Thankfully, for our situation for homeschooling, I had an amazing social life outside of it because of being outside. I was doing a ton of other activities. I did gymnastics, I did soccer for a little while, and dance. So I had great outlets, and thankfully I feel like with the communication and the conversation skills, I think that I was able to learn that at quite a young age with growing up, because my siblings are 11 and 8 years older than me. So we have quite an age difference. So I think I learned how to talk to older people, which I think is something that my friends in my generation kind of can struggle with at sometimes, is learning to talk to adults and learning how, because I feel like sometimes teenagers have a stigma or something that they don't talk to adults and they're awkward with adults. And I think we never went through that. And of course I grew up around also my parents' friends a lot, talking to them and, learning through them. So I think that that's something huge that I'm so grateful that I got to learn that at such a young age.
Yeah. No, brilliant. I'm sure the stage life as well certainly would have assisted you with that. Exactly. I know my confidence has always been up there because I've been on stage since I was outside. So good on your parents. Go mom and dad.
Yes.
Well, we had an amazing mentor who had 7 children, and she was right at the front of, she started homeschooling the year that it was legalized in the United States. And she educated us to what you were describing in school was actually crafted by the wealthy Industrial Revolution. The people that started the Industrial Revolution in the United States, they needed factory workers. They needed people that could sit still for long periods of time, do mindless work, and be
Pull up your socks, tuck in your shirt, slip up a lip.
That does not sound like the kind of children we want to raise. So for us, it was very much an ethical question of allowing Olivia to develop as an individual, for her to hear her own thoughts and make her own decisions.
Yes.
That would lead her into adulthood. So that was really important to us. And so what you're describing in school is horrific to me and requires for some people a lot of detox to figure out who they are, because they've been so structured in a particular mold, which was developed for factory workers. Again, we just can't say enough how damaging that is to a person's soul and their spirit. So as you can see, and then also they studied that the peer group, too much of the peer group is very damaging. That what she's describing here is it brings you such pleasure to be around people that are mentors for you and to have the opportunity to mentor. So she started assisting classes at a very young age and learned how to be a role model for young children. So it gave her a sense of pride of, I have something to contribute, even though I'm 5 or 6 or 7 years old. I have this. And so that idea that you have balance in your life, you're not just with your peer group all the time, because then you get into a lot of comparison and competition, which again, is dead in your soul. But if you're around people that nurture you or that you are nurturing, then it just brings this amazing sense of pride to your life. So that was another really big benefit of homeschooling, which we learned from our mentor.
I think it's interesting because I remember back when I started homeschooling, we were in mainstream school, and we were obviously focused in on the arts, and I did everything from the choirs to the Eisteddfods, I did all the competitions, everything. But the problem was that whatever I was doing outside of school was never giving me the credit, essentially, to earn whatever points I needed within school. And actually my dad was the one who suggested that, take the girls out of it and put them into this homeschooling system, which was, back in my day, it wasn't there. It didn't exist. It was pockets. Dean's looking at me funny, but they were honestly pockets. And and even finding, like, we also did like a intermediate sort of in between thing, which was like a homeschooling system outside of home. So there were a bunch of kids. There were like 5 in my class. And it was teachers that were perhaps retired or whatever that wanted to be part of this homeschooling space, we were growing into that space. And now it's, especially with where the world is now, this homeschooling and the idea of creating activities outside of school and looking at soccer clubs, drama clubs, dance, all the above that give kids that interaction, allow them to develop their social skills and those conversation skills. They're actually getting that now, and more of that's being developed, which is really, really cool, because it gives kids the opportunity that aren't necessarily doing the mainstream thing, being a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it is. If they're a bit more artsy, a bit more sports focused, it gives them that opportunity to really, really dive into that and to study what they're doing at 12, 13 years old, which is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And that's exactly what you guys are doing at Singing on Stage, which is just incredible. I love it.
Well, I want to know what is the age of the youth conferences that you're doing? What age bracket are you working with there?
We've got the high school side of things, so kind of the 13 to 17, which will be broken up 13 to 15, 15 to 17, and then we've got the young adults, which is anyone from 18 to 35, or anyone young at heart. I mean, I had a 62-year-old lady at our event in London, and she was like, "This is amazing. I am the youth." We went through it.
Well, ageism is a big thing,
Exactly.
And I can still do a cartwheel and a full split, and it's really important to me to be living a really full life that's full of, creativity and challenge. So,
absolutely.
Amazing.
Again, it's interesting to hear about the age bracket that you're working with. And the fact, Alexandra, you mentioned 12 and 13-year-olds, again, in a pre-industrial society, children were considered adults at that point, and they were in a trade. They were able to take part and earn money and hold huge amounts of responsibility. And from what we've been reading, that a lot of the angst and behavioral issues that teens have in our society, at least in the United States, comes from their frustration of how they're treated and the constraints on them through compulsory schooling, the hours they have to spend in a building. And they really want responsibility, which is probably what you're seeing at these youth conferences. They have so much energy and drive.
Oh yeah, they're excited.
They're ready to go.
I actually wanted to ask a question. We've got a question here. Oh, well, it's not really a question, more of a statement. I too worry about the mental anguish of our young people, and I actually wanted to touch on this a little bit. And we are slowly running out of time. So I want to sort of, just before we get into a little bit of live music, and Dean, of course, will do some live music as well. Now that it's said, it has to be. Kidding. But I thought I think it'd be interesting just to touch on this for a minute, because we're all grieving, we're all struggling, we're all going through anguish right now. And I think, Dean, I wanted to ask you, just when it comes to people trying to stay positive in youngsters, we have obviously spoken a little bit about this, but is there a little bit of advice you could perhaps give, and same with Heidi and Richard, any bit of advice you could give young people when it comes to just staying positive, and anything they could do to help them stay in that positive space during this COVID period of our lives?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things, if I messed that off, and to answer you, Mr. Robinson, it's a tough one. Like, we really are. We're going through a very difficult situation at the moment. We are all victims of the circumstance, and it is not our fault. And I think that's the first thing that needs to be portrayed. None of us have done this. It is human error, yes, but none of us are actually to blame personally for what's going on at the moment.
True.
So I don't think anyone should have that guilt trip feeling about themselves. And I think that's very, very important to get across to young people. Anyone that's feeling a little bit of anguish, understand that it's completely normal. Why? Because no one really knows what's going on. As I said, this whole thing is a verb. It's still happening. No one even knows really what it is at the moment. There's a couple of different things that I always try and turn to, which is, like it's I love the saying that says, it actually comes from Downton Abbey. Carson said that the business of life is the acquisition of memories. Okay, so the business of life is to acquire memories. Now, if you break that down further, memories only ever happen when patterns are broken. Okay, that's when memories transpires, when a pattern is broken. And patterns are only ever broken when you step outside of your comfort zone.
True.
So at the moment, we are all outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And this will always then be memorable, and therefore it gives us an opportunity to better ourselves. It gives us an opportunity to look back on this time and go, do you know what, during that time, I didn't sit on my butt all day and do nothing, but I had learned French. I learned how to cook. I did this. I danced. I did something to better myself. I read more. I listened to more podcasts. I joined more conversation. I did something to better myself during that time. And I think as long as you're doing that, as long as you are in a forward trajectory, you can't be in any anguish because you are busy getting better at something that clearly you enjoy. So I think that's a bit of a diluted answer, but at the same time, I just think you need to keep not busy, but keep yourself active. Get outside, breathe in some fresh air, go for a walk, go for a hike. Set your alarm for 6 a.m. for the next 4 days and see how remarkable it is. Eat better food, breathe it in, read a book, just enjoy
love it. Yes. I think it's very true. And just seeing some success in that space as well, seeing that there's actually a result at the end of all of that is so encouraging, and just sort of wants you to try harder. Sorry, I think Heidi, did you want to say something as well? Sorry.
No, and I think that's I love that theme of remarkable, and I think Olivia and Rich would completely agree with this. In this pandemic era, we had Susan Schulman, who was the Broadway director. She zoomed in from her Manhattan apartment, and she had a beautiful piece of artwork sitting behind her, which was an original illustration of the production of Sweeney Todd, which is another Stephen Sondheim musical. And she was encouraging me. We're talking to middle schoolers, so these would be 11 to 14-year-olds. And she was saying, expand your minds. She was encouraging us
Yeah.
to expand our minds.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret, and she gives
Yes.
she has a book for teens as well, and she talks about thought shifters, which I use all the time. If I feel myself tanking, if I feel myself going into a really negative space,
Yeah.
I give myself a whole bunch of different options for how to pull myself up to a place of gratitude. Even if it's a horrible situation, there's got to be something I can be grateful for. And then spinning in a whole different direction, go for a walk or call a friend. I think, Olivia could speak to this, but if you have people you can talk to, things will lift your spirits, whatever that is, then keep those close at hand. Your journal, your nature is huge. I think we don't spend, at least in the United States, I don't think we spend enough time outside. We spend too much time in our cars. So this has been remarkable. So the thought shifters has been really helpful for me. Olivia, do you want to
love that.
mental?
Yeah.
I would just say that I think a lot of sadness, a lot of depression comes from the fear of the future. So, and I think for the Gen Zs, they really don't know what's coming next. We know, none of us do, though. So that's the dirty little secret is no one knows. So getting back to that idea that we can either let the future be shaped by someone, or we can actually shape the future. And that's always true from a personal point of view. But now all of the institutions that seem so solid are pretty much giving way. So that we can not only shape our own destiny, our own future, we can actually influence how these institutions are going to be reshaped. I think of it in terms of the theater. I feel really strongly about there's lots of things that need to change, and that we can actually be a force in how it changes as going forward. So I think part of the depression or the downness or the mental anguish is the fear of that, and rather than being afraid of it, we can actually decide we're going to help shape it.
Yeah, I love that. Let's just shape it. I love that it's a verb. We've actually got a little comment here from Fame, and I just wanted to share it here. Society as a whole needed a push to get out of the old way of thinking. Let's call it a silver lining. And I think it's very true that there are definitely silver linings during this time. And I think we need a little bit of some silver and glitter, please. Please, can you add some sparkle? We're gonna end off the conversation after you've sung, but I just feel like we need a little bit of sparkle. So please take it away.
Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? Look at this trove, treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? Looking around here, you think, sure, she's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabobs? I've got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Feet. Flipping your fins, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, strolling along down what's that word again? Street. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be somewhere that's green. Between a frozen dinner and a bedtime 9:15, we snuggle watching Lucy on a big, enormous 12-inch screen. I'm his December bride. He's father, he knows best. The kids watch Howdy Doody as the sun sets in the west. A picture out of Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Far from Skid Row, I dream we'll go somewhere that's
Wow! Wow!
Very good.
Incredible. Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Wow. I got the chills. Wow. What a beautiful voice. What a beautiful voice. And Richard. Thank you. Beautiful playing as well. Always. I mean, absolutely stunning. Just, I think, I want to be where the people are.
Yeah.
I had to giggle a bit. I just thought,
Right?
Yeah,
I just thought,
were written by the same writing team, so Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who first wrote Little Shop of Horrors, which she was Audrey Penn, and then they were hired by Disney to do the trio of films that they did before Howard passed. So, and then Somewhere That's Green, obviously that idea of being someplace where there's harmony and peace.
Yeah, they're both called, in the musical theater, both are called I Want songs. So, where the main character stops early on in the story and like,
yeah.
this is what I'm going for. And that's what the whole trajectory of the story is. So
Yeah.
those two fit together really.
Really
And
well.
it's what you're doing with your youth conferences. What do
Yes.
you want?
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think that's
Exactly.
a what do you want song. This is our moment, guys. This is our moment. What do you want? Let's sing it out.
Now is the time.
Now is the time. Wow. There's like layers and there's many layers, like an onion and a cake, but there's layers to this talk. Wow, this has been one of the most incredible conversations that I have had the honor of being a part of, and thank you so much to all of you for adding into this. And it's incredible to talk to someone from South Africa, from the US, and just how there is so much synergy in this space, that the world is a whole lot smaller and we are all going through so many things that are so similar, and it's great to just come around, just support each other and support this next generation, because it's a scary new world that we're going into. I don't even think the word normal should come into this, because normal implies something that has been, that is currently, and that just isn't. The normal does not exist anymore. It's just this new, complete new, full stop, exclamation point, So yeah, I think it's incredible, and I feel so inspired. I have so many comments that I haven't even been able to get to half of them. People are just loving this conversation, and I feel very sad that I have to say this, but can we end off the show? Can we end off with pearls of wisdom? And I would love it from everyone from this cafe, Dean, and then all the way through you guys as well. Just some pearls of wisdom for anyone that's watching, whatever you'd like to say. Dean, do you want to start?
Pearls of wisdom. Yeah, sure. What can I say? I mean, there's a million different quotes that come to mind, but at the same time, I think the one that I kind of resonate with as much as I possibly can is that it's all in your head. It really is. It's all what you think about. There's an old Buddhist saying, it's not a religious one, but all that we are is a result of what we have thought. And I know Rhonda Bryan had that in a secret book. I think that's what brought this one to the top. All that you are is a result of what you have thought. So if you're thinking negatively, you're thinking down, you're thinking this, you're thinking that, you've got to break that cycle. You've got to get out of it and think bigger and think better and understand that we're all going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Just have the faith, have the trust, and keep pushing yourself forward in any way, shape, or form that you possibly can. Keep healthy, keep breathing fresh air, keep drinking lots of water, eat some healthy food, get outside the nature, talk to other people, listen to some podcasts, read some books, get some sleep, and have yourself a wonderful night. Alexandra, thank you so much for having me. High five. Come on.
High five.
You can do this.
Oh, yes.
Down here. Wait.
Like they're like this is. I feel like I'm gonna squash you guys. I'm gonna squash you.
Don't hit me.
Wow. No, this has been so much fun. Dean, like I feel like I'm gonna go conquer this new week. I'm gonna conquer the week. Like that is gosh, we didn't like I think the problem with rooms like this is that I have like a bunch of questions for each guest, but I get to like one or two because conversation just kicks and I love it and I love this. But Dean, honestly, there's like a list, as long as my two arms that I still have to get through with you. So I'm gonna have to have you back, unfortunately.
It would only be a
Oh
privilege.
well.
Thank you very much. I'm looking
Well,
forward
thank
to
you.
these pearls of wisdom from these three wonderful people downstairs.
Yes. Please, singing on stage, pearls of wisdom. Please go down the line.
I would say have a positivity buddy because there's surging goodness through each of us. You can feel it on this podcast. And we need that so desperately at this time.
Yeah.
So having someone that you can play off of to counteract all the stuff that we're dealing with, just to know that you have an incredible force of goodness inside of you. And we need it. We need you to activate it. So please, if everyone does even a little portion of that, just think what kinds of creative solutions will come out for our world. So I've certainly in my life, I've kept my little positivity buddies around me so that we can work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say I think especially in this time for my generation, it's really important to continue to be ourselves individually. I think in a time of social media, however it does a lot of good, it can also do a lot of damage. So continue to find the things that you love and that is unique to you as this whole thing is happening.
And amazing. I would say, when you look out and you see the devastation, all the institutions that have been toppled, businesses and all of everything, rather than looking at the devastation, look at what it will be when it's rebuilt, because you have it's up to us now to rebuild and make it better than what it was.
Wow. I always talk about, whenever I come to the end of these shows, I always say that I'm going to one day write a book of all the hashtags, just like all the hashtags, and like I could write like these 3 good chapters on the hashtags in this show. I mean, like just incredible. The little bits of inspiration have been incredible. So thank you to all of you.
Alexandra?
Oh my!
I thought it was a whole collective thing. What you got, girl?
Gosh, okay. Gosh, okay. Listen. Well, okay, my pearls of wisdom, I think, has definitely for this particular show has to be to listen. I think I'm picking up on what you said is, you've got 2 ears for a reason, and you've got a tongue surrounded by teeth for a reason. And I think it's very important for us to sit and to listen and to grow and take in all the information that we can to better ourselves, to better our communities, to better our futures, our people around us, their futures. So that's something that I'm taking and putting in my back pocket from this chat. Does that count as a pearl of wisdom?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll take it. Thank you very much. Like I'm just whacking everyone. I feel like I'm at one of those arcades, just whack. No, this has been incredible. Thank you so much to all of you for taking time out of your Sundays for doing this chat. It's been a privilege and an honor. Please, will you all stay safe out there?
Thank you so
much. Cheers, guys. Cheers, guys. Bye. Bye. What an incredible show! Wow, I've loved this. I love talking about this sort of thing. You guys know I love this. This has been awesome. If you guys have any more questions or comments you would like me to share with our guests, just drop them. You can DM me. I'm Alexandra May Music on every platform. Drop me a DM, and I can defo put in contact, forward a question, whatever you need, let me know. But for now, guys, stay safe, stay sanitized, call your loved ones, and I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye.
I ain't